Swimmer Riley Gaines recently gave a speech at San Francisco State University about protecting women's sports. However, what was supposed to be a thoughtful discussion turned into a terrifying ordeal when transgender rights protesters stormed the event and physically assaulted her. Gaines shared alarming footage of the incident where she was forced to barricade herself in a room for 3 hours while police hustled her to safety. The videos shared on social media show a mob of activists chanting, "Trans rights are human rights," and "Trans women are women," while holding signs that read, "Trans lives matter." In one of the videos, an activist can be seen yelling transphobic slurs at Gaines, physically hitting her twice, and even jumping in front of her to scream abuse. Gaines' agent, Eli Bremer, confirmed that the young swimmer was then barricaded in a room for 3 hours. He also shared that she reported being hit multiple times during the mayhem. Gaines' husband, Louis Barker, told Fox News Digital that she was under police protection and was still hit by a man wearing a dress. The protesters, organized by SFSU's Queer and Trans Resource Center, waited outside and rushed in when the event was over, according to a spokesperson for the university's branch of the conservative group Turning Point USA, which hosted the event. Gaines wanted to share her personal story of competing against a biological male athlete, Lia Thomas, at the Women's NCAA Swimming Championships last year. However, instead of a thoughtful discussion, she was violently accosted, shouted at, physically assaulted, and barricaded in a room by protesters. It is unacceptable for biological male students to violently assault a woman for standing up for women's rights. The incident highlights the need for sex-protected spaces for women. Gaines later shared on social media that the prisoners are running the asylum at SFSU. However, she also said that the incident only further assures her that she's doing something right. "When they want you silent, speak louder," she said. Gaines' agent said that she will continue to speak out against the dangers of biological males in women's sports. While a study published by the British Journal of Sports Medicine in 2022 found that transgender women have higher muscle mass and lung capacity than cisgender women but lower than cisgender men, according to Medical Express, a 2015 study of transgender runners found that transgender women who received treatment to lower their testosterone levels did no better against female peers than they had previously done against male runners, suggesting trans athletes don't have an advantage, according to Science magazine. The incident at SFSU is a reminder that hate and violence have no place in our society, and everyone has the right to express their opinions and beliefs without fear of physical harm. It is essential to promote peaceful discourse and mutual understanding, even in situations where people may have different viewpoints. We must work together to create a more inclusive and respectful environment where everyone feels safe and heard. The incident has sparked outrage and disbelief among many who have seen the footage, with some calling it an attack on free speech and women's rights. Gaines' story is just one of many recent incidents where trans rights protesters have disrupted events, harassed and threatened speakers, and caused chaos on college campuses. The debate over transgender rights in women's sports has been a hot topic for several years now, with many concerned about the fairness of allowing biological males to compete against females. While some argue that transgender women should have the right to compete in women's sports, others say it gives them an unfair advantage due to differences in biology and physical strength. Subscribe for more content like this. Regardless of where one stands on the issue, the use of violence and intimidation to silence those with differing opinions is never acceptable. It is essential to have respectful and thoughtful discussions about controversial topics like transgender rights, rather than resorting to violence and aggression. In the case of Gaines, it is deeply troubling that she was physically hit and forced to barricade for 3 hours due to the actions of a group of protesters. It is a stark reminder that we still have a long way to go when it comes to protecting free speech and ensuring that everyone's rights are respected. Hopefully, incidents like this will lead to more open and productive discussions about the complex issues surrounding transgender rights in women's sports. It is crucial to find a solution that is fair and equitable to all parties involved while still upholding the principles of free speech and the protection of individual rights. The incident at San Francisco State University has sparked outrage and concern about the safety of women's sports and the right to free speech. Gaines' experience is just one example of the escalating tensions between transgender rights activists and women's sports advocates. It is crucial to find a way to have productive and respectful conversations about these issues, rather than resorting to violence and intimidation tactics. While it is important to protect the rights of transgender individuals, it is equally important to ensure that female athletes have a fair and level playing field. The scientific evidence is clear that transgender women have certain physical advantages over cisgender women due to their biological differences. This does not mean that transgender individuals should be excluded from sports altogether, but it does mean that there needs to be a thoughtful and evidence-based approach to ensure that all athletes can compete fairly. Moreover, freedom of speech is a fundamental right that should be protected at all costs. No one should be subjected to violence or harassment for expressing their views, even if those views are controversial or unpopular. This incident at San Francisco State University is a disturbing reminder of the importance of protecting free speech and promoting respectful dialogue in our society. In conclusion, the attack on swimmer Riley Gaines at San Francisco State University is a sobering reminder of the need for greater dialogue and understanding between transgender rights activists and women's sports advocates. It is crucial that we find a way to have productive and respectful conversations about these issues, rather than resorting to violence and intimidation tactics. The incident also underscores the importance of protecting free speech and promoting respectful dialogue in our society. Only through open and honest dialogue can we find a way to address these complex issues and ensure that everyone's rights are protected. In conclusion, the incident involving Riley Gaines and the transgender rights protesters highlights the ongoing debate over the participation of transgender athletes in women's sports. While some argue that trans athletes have an unfair advantage due to their biological makeup, others argue that excluding them from women's sports would be discriminatory. Regardless of one's stance on the issue, it is unacceptable for anyone to resort to violence and intimidation to silence someone with a different perspective. Riley Gaines should have been able to share her experiences and opinions without fear of physical harm. The behavior of the protesters was not only dangerous but also counterproductive to their cause. Moving forward, it is crucial for both sides of the debate to engage in respectful dialogue and find common ground. This includes exploring ways to ensure fair competition in women's sports while also respecting the rights of transgender individuals. Violence and intimidation have no place in this conversation, and it is up to all of us to work towards a more inclusive and equitable future. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel for authenticity.